What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today, this is going to be a commentated playthrough of the Castlevania Symphony of the Night no-hit glitchless speedrun world record. To my knowledge, I believe I am the first ever to achieve beating the game without using any glitches in a single segment, without taking any damage whatsoever throughout the entirety of this run. And just as a heads up, this run is by no means perfect. It's perfect in the sense that I don't take damage, but there are a few mistakes that I made that would have sped up the time a decent amount. They happen pretty late in the run, pretty early on in the run. There's a lot of interesting mechanics, interesting strategies that I use to both be fast while going through the castle, as well as be safe enough to continue to do runs, because this took me a total of 75 separate attempts, many of which getting pretty late into the game, 20, almost 30 minutes into a run. So I spent a decent amount of time on this. But yeah, starting out, this is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I am doing a speedrun again. So I'm going to be using shield dashing as my main form of movement at the very start. So I'm just backdashing, canceling the backdash with a shield button press, and then doing that over and over and over again. This beginning part, the zombies do spawn randomly, so I do a bunch of jump slashes, to make sure that I don't have a chance to get hit by them. They are randomly spawning, so I just want to be safe there. Here I am killing all 3 wargs. There is no death skipping here, no reverse shift lines, none of that shenanigans. We are, from here on out, going to be naked going forward with no equipment. And just a real quick, I just want to shout out everybody who was in the live stream watching me attempt this. I was attempting all of this on my live stream, twitch.tv/DragonBlitz. We had a lot of fun, a lot of heartbreaks along the way, and I'm thinking about actually making a video documenting the story, the ups and downs of going through this challenge, because it was both one of the most exciting challenges I've ever completed on stream, but also the most heartbreaking in moments. So I think that could be quite interesting. Anyways, back to the run itself. We're about 2 minutes in, and we get the Cube of Zoe, obviously. That's going to be helpful because it allows for items to drop from candles. So I'm going to be collecting hearts along the way. That MLG skeleton, holy crap, that guy, as a quick aside, that first skeleton that throws the bones there, that guy has ended so many runs. The pattern that he gives you is based off of how fast you get through that room, and how fast you're able to get through that room is dependent on whether or not you're able to double hit the skeletons in front of you. And every time you throw a punch as Alucard, the punch actually has 2 separate hitboxes. So if you are close enough to the enemy, you could do 2 separate hits of damage. Like right there, I did 2 separate hits of damage on that green knight. That's what caused it to die in one throw of the fist. Here, that Spittlebone looks like it might have a chance to hit you, but if you go at the right pace, there's no chance for the spit to land on top of you. Whereas the first Spittlebone earlier in this area has a completely random pattern. So dodging that does require waiting a lot of the time and just reacting to the random pattern that you get. Here I am charging up a Tetra Spirit. You summon 4 separate spirits, and the AI takes over and just flags down whatever's in its path. It does a lot of damage, especially early on. It costs a decent amount of MP, but that is useful for dealing a lot of damage before acquiring the main damage dealing method for this game, which is going to be collecting the shield rod as well as purchasing the iron shield from the shop. Another important thing to note is in this hallway is when we determine whether or not I have good or bad strength starting out. Every time you level up, the amount of strength that you gain per level up is random. It's the same with all stats. The amount of HP you gain per level up is random. The amount of MP you gain per level up is random. But in this run, the 2 most important stats are going to be your strength and your MP. MP is going to be used for casting spells, and later on casting the Wing Smash spell, which we use to get around very, very fast. This hallway, I do a mixture of summoning 1 spirit. There I got very, very lucky with that pattern. Those flea men have definitely ended runs before. So I do a combination of summoning a spirit to both give me invincibility frames, because you are invincible for a little while after casting any spell in this game, and as well as reacting to the pattern when the screen freezes that the flea man gives me to see whether or not I'm going to be able to safely kick it. If I can't safely kick it, I wait for the spirit to just take over and kill the flea man for me. But yeah, all of these skeletons that have separate projectiles, they can be quite scary overall. If you are too slow, they will start to throw projectiles, and then you have to figure out how you're going to dodge them and all that stuff. but thankfully you can just hit them once and kill them. These Diplos coming up, you might think, oh, you could just jump on their back and then jump over them. Well, yes, you technically can, and that would be faster in a lot of cases. However, they have a random chance to throw a fireball at you, and depending on the timing at which they throw the fireball out from the top of the tail part where the woman is sticking out, if the timing lines up while you're jumping over the Diplo, you will take damage and there's nothing you do about it. They basically just like snipe you in the legs and there's nothing you do. Here, again, I'm showing off that you get invincibility frames while summoning the Summon Spirit, as well as other spells also give iframes. So we use that to get through there and not take any damage. It's much faster than either equipping a sword to kill them or trying to jump over them or killing them with your fists. All of those things, not very viable options. Here, again, you see I'm going out of my way to collect some extra hearts. It's because during the this section, which we refer to as the clock rush, where we are racing to make sure we don't get stuck in the statue room where the central clock room is for the game, I am going on my way to collect extra hearts because before exiting, I need at least 40 hearts to be safe, because we will be using 2 separate stopwatches in the library section of the game. You saw me just use a stopwatch there to take care of Doppelganger. That Doppelganger fight is really annoying if you don't have a stopwatch. Using the stopwatch, he just stands there and then you beat him up. This next section, it may look a little scary, like I'm dashing directly into enemies, but they have very much the same patterns. There's like no RNG to them. If you have the same movement, they will react the same every time. Unlike those Medusa heads flying around, they have basically fully random patterns, and you have to react every single time. Like that last Medusa head was in a spot that is pretty uncommon. But yeah, reacting to the Medusa heads flying at you and being ready to punch them in different ways is very important to get a run past this point. There's a little bit of data analysis overall, and I won't spoil too much. But overall, the Alchemy Lab and the Marble Gallery are the 2 places where I lost the most runs, second only to the Outer Wall. So yeah, a lot of mistakes were made here just due to the random patterns of the enemies, and most runs do die early, of course. But now we're going to be backtracking with the Soul Wolf, which will let us get into the Coliseum. We need some form of height to get to the Coliseum, because that is where the next point of interest is. I will also be collecting a decent amount of money in this run as well, because we do need to purchase some things from the shop. We don't have the benefit of using the infinite money glitch, because of course this is a glitchless run. So getting some money bags as well as the garnet in the Outer Wall for that point later on. And here we are definitely not out of the woods. In a normal speedrun attempt, you would be using the wolf movement here to get through this section a little bit faster. Here I opt to stay in Alucard form. It's a little bit slower, but I will be able to collect hearts more consistently, and I am in control of my movement such that I don't have a chance of taking damage, because when you do the wolf movement, there's a pretty high chance that you take damage near the end of it. Here I do transform into the wolf early because it is faster for jumping up those last couple slopes, and you need to transform anyways. But there we go, transforming into the wolf gives you a dive kick. You dive kick off the candle, and that gives you just enough height to get into the Aurochs's quarters, and then from here we're going to be going to the Coliseum. Again, this is another section where it looks like I'm just dashing directly into these enemies, but they do not have any randomness to their patterns. You just dash up to them, and so long as you dash with the right spacing, you can just jump just fine. Moving forward, depending on your strength value, there is a chance that you are strong enough to destroy these little skeleton blade guys with one hit. It's pretty rare, so I opt to not even check to see if I can. I just jump over them, just for safety's sake. There I got an unfavorable pattern from the Blade Master, and I just had to jump over him. Thankfully I reacted well, because I have taken damage to that Blade Master before due to messing up the manipulation. If you do the same thing every single time, you should be safe. Here we're going to be fighting Minotaur and Werewolf. They actually stand still for you. This is a fun little developer oversight, I guess. They never programmed in Minotaur and Werewolf to start attacking you until the cutscene with Richter is meant to be over. But because we skip the cutscene, they just stand still for a little while, and they're like on a timer waiting for the cutscene to be over, but the cutscene got skipped, so I'm able to move around and punch them to death and then cast spells afterwards. where they are just waiting for their timer to tick down. There we got the form of mist. Form of Mist being one of the locks required to get the Soul of Bat, which is required to beat the game pretty handedly. It's the fastest form of movement that we're going to have for most of the run, and we will explain why that is the case coming up. But here is a very unique strategy that you will only see in a run like this, where I'm actually equipping the Neutron Bomb. Normally you don't need the Neutron Bomb for this run. In a normal glitchless run, you would take damage off of a bullet getting shot there. I actually pull up my shield to deflect the bullet, and then I use the Neutron Bomb to kill the skeleton muskets, and then I use a Hellfire to get past the sword guy, and then I cancel the Hellfire by crouching. It's this whole thing, and it works out just well enough that I'm able to get past, grab the shield rod, grab $1,000 from the money drop there, and now I'm in the shop. I'm going to buy Jewel of Open, which is required to beat the game. I need 3 library cards in this route, and then I buy the Iron Shield. Now that we have access to both Mist and Wolf, we have a couple of different movement options available to us. Here I'm going to be doing a Wolf jump to land up here onto the slope, use the Mist to get the rest of the way, and we're going to just be killing any enemies in our way right now up until the Bat Relic. Also, I'm going to be stopping at save points to refill my MP. I forgot to mention that earlier. But yeah, this is why we needed all those hearts earlier on, because I'm going to be using the stopwatch here in this room to clear out this room so I don't take damage. That room is so random. Anything with Fleamen or Flea Armors are super random. And then the second stopwatch is just for that last Fleamen there. That Fleamen, he is impossible to deal with. His patterns, by the time you get down there, he's been spawned in long enough that it's just incredibly random, and there's nothing you can do about it other than just pray. So I'd rather just take the time loss and get the hearts that I need instead to just freeze him in place and kill him instead of just trying to deal with the random patterns themselves. All right, and there is the Soul of Bat. We collected a couple extra cash monies along the way, and here I am double checking to make sure to take off the library cards, because if I waste a library card here, it is run over. It would be very, very sad to lose the run to something so silly. Something as silly as buying the wrong item, which I did in this run. This is one of the areas where there's a decent amount of time save possible. I'm trying to keep my self calm here, even though I'm kind of doing some freestyle movement because I was scared. Here I am grabbing this Uncursed. This is part of the route that I came up with for this run. What I was supposed to purchase there was a Mana Prism, but then I accidentally pressed A too many times to confirm through the menu, and that forced me to buy a potion, and then I didn't have enough money left over for a Mana Prism. Thankfully, potions and Mana Prisms are very similar. The reason we use a Mana Prism is for 2 separate reasons. One, it gives us invincibility frames anytime you use a potion of some kind. You get additional invincibility frames for about a second. And the second reason we buy the Mana Prism is because it refills your mana to full. That Medusa head was very close to ending the run. Wow. This is my first time watching back the run since completing it, just by the way. So if I exclaim wow somewhere in between, it's because I haven't really watched it back yet. But yeah. Long story short, Mana Prism not having it isn't the end of the run, but it will lose me some time. That would be an easy time save if I were to try and finish this challenge again. I'm pretty unsure whether or not I want to finish it again, because this was honestly super duper duper challenging. Do I reset this room? No, I do not. Okay. There was an attempt that got pretty far where I did have to reset this room, because if you fly straight up, you are safe and the Harpies cannot damage you. However, if you make any sort of mistake on your platforming on the way up, then the Harpies will 100% guaranteed cause damage to you. So you just have to reset the room and not get hit in the meantime. So, coming up is going to be the first instance where we get to really see the shield rod. I guess the second instance. I kind of didn't explain it during the Lesser Demon fight. However, we are using the Iron Shield, which is a shield that is purchasable in the shop alongside the Shield Rod. The Shield Rod enhances and has specific spells for each shield in the game. The one for the Iron Shield is very, very powerful. The spell does a lot of damage. It's based off of how much strength you have. So the higher strength value you have, the more damage you're going to be doing. We're going to be increasing our strength throughout the run with different equipment to try and make sure that the spell is doing as much damage as possible. I kill that Flea Rider specifically to avoid any instances where it would fly out of control and just hit me. Especially if I miss a Wing Smash input or something like that. But yeah, we have Bat now, and we're going to be flying around really, really fast as the Bat. A couple movement techniques are going to be dive bats, where you dive kick and then cancel the dive kick by transforming into the Bat. Same with the Bat dashes, where you back dash and then transform into the Bat as well. Both of those techniques will start you off transforming into the Bat with some speed already there. Otherwise, if you want to spend MP, it costs 8 MP to do a Wing Smash. Here's what a Wing Smash looks like right there. It is fully invincible, you do a ton of damage, and you're moving as fast as you really can in a run like this while doing so. That's a neat little strat. You start the spell of the Iron Shield spell, and then you follow Hippogriff across the ceiling with the spell, and you're doing damage constantly while doing so. It's really, really nice. Here I'm counting how many Wing Smashes I have to do to get through those rooms, as well as making sure I have enough MP for this section. Here is why we needed the potion, or specifically supposed to be Mana Prism. I also got the Uncurse. Here I am mashing both buttons, both hand buttons, so I can get at least one of those invincibility potions to go off before touching those spikes. I lost a ton of runs by getting hit by those spikes there. For those of you wondering if this is considered a glitch or not, it is not. We are taking advantage of the fact that potions do give you invincibility frames, and by having invincibility frames, we do not get hit by the spikes. We are able to open the blue door that has the silver ring behind it, and we can collect the silver ring without taking damage. Here is the reason why we want to use the Mana Prism, is to avoid having to refill our mana in this slow manner. We have to go out of our way to refill our mana right there at that save room. We probably lost like anywhere from like 15 to 20 seconds by doing so, but the run is still alive because we have not taken any damage. So at this point, I did not want to reset this far into a run that is, outside of that one mistake, doing really well. But yeah, the amount of mana I have for this run seemed to be about average, maybe slightly below average at this point. It kind of ebbs and flows depending on your level ups. So every time you get a level up, there's a chance that you get the highest MP value added to your total MP, and there's a chance that you get the lowest possible value. I think it's only a difference of 1 every single time, but every time you level up, it adds up. Especially because by the time we finish the run, we're like level... I think we're in the mid-20s, like 26 or 27. So every single one of those levels, if you get a high roll, that's an additional 26 MP added to your total MP. And since Wing Smashes cost 8 MP total, that's an additional, what is that, 3 Wing Smashes? 4 Wing Smashes, actually. I don't know how to do math. That Slinger almost ended the run there. I was very, very careful to make sure I was swinging the shield rod to break both the projectile and kill the Slinger at the same time. Here, it's been a while since I've made had a run go this far. I intentionally cancel that Wing Smash early by doing a mist input. Transforming to the mist will completely reset whatever momentum Alucard has, regardless of how fast you're going, which is really, really nice. So I reset my momentum to make sure I didn't fly into the next room and then untransform, because the way that the Wing Smash works is once you do a Wing Smash, you are on a timer for, I forget the exact number of frames, but you're on a timer, and then it'll forcibly untransform you after that time is up. And if it forcibly untransforms you on top of an enemy, you will take damage, and there's nothing you can do about it. So at all points in this run, I am being extra careful to make sure if I untransform from a Wing Smash, it is in an area where I know I am safe from any enemies, or I am untransforming by transforming into the mist instead to stop my momentum and then make sure I'm safe. But yeah, this is a theme of a lot of the boss fights in this game. They are quite trivial when you have access to the Shield Rod spell that we have. Every single time that we have the ability to, we're going to start a fight by spawning the Shield Rod spell inside of the boss in some way. It spawns like directly above and behind Alucard a little bit, and if we have the boss spawn into the starting animation of the Shield Rod spell, they'll be taking damage the entire time as the animation is starting up. And then when the swords are swinging, we can move the screen alongside the boss, so that way the swords are on top of the boss the entire time. But yeah, overall, we did all of that detour into the caverns just to get the gold ring. We already got the silver ring earlier by doing a little bit of a sequence break. Again, a completely glitchless sequence break, but a sequence break nonetheless. Here, I am using Wing Smashes to make sure I don't have to deal with any of those flea men or anything like that. I'm fully invincible while I do so. Here, I am a little nervous, so I put on the wrong equipment, when in reality I needed to put on the gold ring and silver ring. again, making it nearly 20 minutes into a run like this without taking damage is, this I think is the farthest at any point that I got while doing this challenge, outside of one attempt that did make it into the second castle before this, that died in a very, very tragic way. At least on this day of doing attempts. I was doing attempts at this point for about like 6 hours ish before getting this run, so I was getting quite tired overall. So tired that I even forgot the route that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get the gravity boots first and then get the holy glasses, but thankfully I remembered before it was too late, because that would have lost me at least like a minute worth of movement without having the gravity boots, if not more, depending on the backup route that I decided to do. Here I am refilling my MP because I want to have absolutely full MP by the time that we leave the chamber where the holy glasses are. This is one of the spots where we use the library card to get out of here faster, because at this point, once we have the holy glasses, we just need to go to the second castle and then beat the game. Here I'm equipping the moonstone because it does increase my stats by a decent amount. We're also equipping the holy glasses here because we're going to be going straight to the second castle from here. Re-equipping the iron shield, making extra sure that I'm re-equipping the iron shield. I do not want to forget that. Yeah, here I'm controlling the wing smashes by doing the input for the wing smash, which is a pretty strict input. I believe it's 8 inputs total. You have to hold the jump button and then press up, and then up, back, down, forward, and then release the jump button, all within a like 60 frame window after doing a wing smash. So it's it can be pretty technical to input multiple wing smashes in a row like that. And then on top of that, you also need to direct where the wing smash is going, either up or down, by pressing up or down after inputting the wing smash itself. So there's a lot of there's a high skill ceiling for the type of movement you can do in this game just from wing smashing alone, on top of all the other movement options like using the gravity jump in diagonal directions, as well as canceling them by transforming into the bat. Here I make a last minute call that I want to have the power of mist. This is not required necessarily to beat the game. However, it's only about a 15 to 20 second detour, but it gives me access to the power of mist, which is basically I can be in the mist form as long as I want, so long as I have MP. Whereas before this, every time I transform into the mist, it would take 20 MP for a full mist animation, which is a lot of MP. And on top of that, it'll forcibly untransform me after being in the mist transformation for about a second. Where now I'm going to be losing, I think it's like 2 MP per second while in the mist transformation, but it won't kick me out until I press the mist button again. So if I'm ever in a situation where I feel like I'm about to take damage, I can press the mist button and I will be fully invincible and be safe because of it. I don't even think at this point I used the mist to dodge any attacks. I think I only got it as like a mental safety measure, because again, this is the farthest I've made it in quite a long time, and I told myself and my stream that I am finishing this challenge today no matter what. It doesn't matter if I have to stream for 24 hours or whatever, and we were already 9 hours into a stream where I'd been playing some stuff before this, and then I started doing attempts at this for about 6 hours, like I said earlier. And I was really feeling the pressure that this needed to be the run. Otherwise, I might not have the mental energy to finish a run that is, again, this difficult. But yeah, first boss of the second castle, Darkwing Bat, stand in a specific spot, and then you just let the shield spell attack him while he flies into it. He does the same pattern every single time at the very start, so that is very convenient. A small optimization is you can wing smash into these Vlad relics as you pick them up. It just makes sure that you are picking them up while already having some forward momentum. A little bit of nerves coming through as I miss that movement. This whole clock tower section is probably the hardest part of the entire run in a vacuum. So difficult that I even came up with a strategy that involved using the heart refresh that you get at the very, very start of the game by throwing away all of your hearts during the prologue section where you're playing as Richter versus Dracula. That item gets used 24 minutes later just to use the stopwatch. There, I transform into the mist there for a little too long, and I miss being able to break open that candle for a holy water. At this point in the run, I'm supposed to have a holy water, and I'm supposed to use it versus basically every boss coming up. And the fact that I missed out on getting that holy water, because if I stayed in that room any longer and wasted more hearts, I wouldn't have been able to do the proper strategies anyways. So I started freaking out because this was something that I did not plan for. So in this moment, I make the decision, okay, I will not use the holy water. I'll just have to do some backup strats that involve using the Iron Shield spell more than I would like to. One of the reasons you like picking up holy water is because it's by far the strongest offensive sub-weapon. It does a lot of damage to basically everything in the game. And we would be using it versus bosses here. The next boss being Creature. The other thing that I forgot to do, almost got hit there because of a glitch that is very, very stupid. The skeletons can duplicate themselves sometimes, but depending on how you enter the castle. And if you're wondering just about the glitch rule set for this game in general, there are glitches that exist in Castlevania Symphony of the Night that are unavoidable by the player, and those do not count as like actual glitches in a speedrunning sense. Here, I'm going to be using the Shield Rod spell, and then I dash through Creature to make sure the shield is doing as much damage as possible. Here, I am very confused why he is not dead. I'm going to put a little bit of a spoiler that I didn't find out until the very end of the run. I forgot to put on the Dragon Helm. I went out of my way to pick up the Dragon Helm, which lowers enemy defense. This is one of the biggest mistakes. This lost me probably a full minute and a half overall, if I had to guess, because I spend a lot of time in boss fights that I did not need to, and I wasted a lot of MP in boss fights when I did not need to. And MP at this point is very, very important because it dictates how many wing smashes you are able to do per given section before you're able to refill at a save point. So if I do an extra Shield Rod spell, which I believe takes 20 MP away to do the Shield Rod spell, it could be more, honestly. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know it takes a decent chunk of MP. That's less wing smashes I'm going to be able to do in the next section. And wing smashes are great for a no-hit challenge. Oh my god, I am a legend, dude. I knew I was going to get hit there if I didn't react. So when you untransform in the air, you do not have air control. I was going to fall straight down. I needed to time a transformation to ensure that I did not take damage there. That, or I would have had to react with like a gravity jump maybe to avoid that situation. But I wasn't expecting to untransform there because I messed up the wing smash input. When you mess up your wing smash input, it just drops you off wherever it just so happens to be where you messed up the input. It's very brutal in that sense. So the fastest thing I was able to react with, which I should have just reacted with a full mist because I would have been invincible and I could have just saw the situation at hand. Instead, I have to time this like frame tight invincibility that happens when you transform into the bat to avoid that spike trap. Like. So silly that happened in this run, and then I kept my composure going forward to ensure that I don't take damage for the rest of the run. I am absolutely losing it on the inside here because this is nearly 30 minutes into the run. We have one more. No, this is the last Vlad relic of this section, and then we teleport, and then there's two more. But essentially, we're very, very close to being finished with this. There's very few parts of the run that can give me a lot of trouble here. This is another part where I was very confused what was happening with the Shield Rod spell, because there I mess up the strat you're supposed to do, but here death should die in one spell if you have the correct setup with the Dragon Helm. Sorry, I'm just watching myself panic during this fight. But yeah, I had to do 3 extra spells or 2 extra spells during that fight. So my MP is like next to nothing. There's normally some advanced movement you can do in this next section, but I have to wait for my MP to refill. In the meantime, thankfully, I do have stopwatches. So I'm able to freeze the bats in place so they do not try and attack me. The movement strategy I would have done otherwise is a little risky because you can get hit by the bats under certain circumstances if you mess up the movement, but I didn't even have enough MP to go for that style of movement. So I'm losing a ton of time here because I just forgot to put on the dragon helmet. It's actually really funny looking back on it now. So there's a lot of time saved. So if someone out there is watching this and thinks, this doesn't look too hard, and you want to get a world record, go ahead and try it out. There is a lot of time to be saved. I am contemplating whether I want to redo this challenge at some point, maybe in the future. Maybe with some more practice even, I don't know, because there is so much time to be saved. But man, this challenge was was such a pain in the just so awful overall. Because at any point you are in danger. There is no point in the run where you are safe. Even fighting Dracula and Shaft, if you make that was almost a crucial mistake. I was so lucky that the wing smash didn't plop me on top of a balloon pod. There were so many near misses in this run that would have just ended the run 30 minutes in, and I would have had to reset, and then at least 30 minutes of time would have had to pass before even getting back to this point. So again, I am definitely feeling the pressure here. Waiting for the Heart of Vlad to spawn in, grabbing it, and leaving this room. Here I do a very risky bat dash, which I did not need to do. If you are too fast on that movement, you just get hit by the Black Panther every single time. Thankfully, I have a good amount of muscle memory in that area to bat dash through there without taking damage, but realistically, there is a much safer approach to that room. I go out of my way to collect a mana prism, which is nice because I will be able to refill my MP. I'm going to be using it a little bit earlier than I would have liked in a normal glitchless speedrun. You try and hold off on using this mana prism for a little while. But here I basically am forced to use it right now. There is a holy water I could get right there, but I did not trust myself to grab it and not take damage from all of the enemies in that room. That room has a decent number of enemies, and there's a lot of different randomness to their patterns. Also, their patterns can change based off of if you do damage to them or what part of like those flying zombies you do damage to. It's a complete pain. So I told myself it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use the shield rod spell, which I forgot to re-equip the shield rod. Thankfully, I didn't take damage for that. I'm just going to use the shield rod spell to kill Akmadon. Thankfully, Akmadon doesn't have like a ton of HP. So I'm able to kill him in only 2 spells. I did use a lot of MP for this section. I'm unsure if I'm going to be able to make it to the next mana prism without using all of my MP. And if I run out of MP, there's a good chance that I take damage because I'm going to be entering an area where there's a lot of spikes and a lot of enemies. So I'm making yet another call to lose a little bit of time to refill my MP in a section where, again, in a normal glitchless speedrun where you're not worried about whether you're taking damage or not, you really wouldn't have to refill your MP here. But again, if I had to redo this whole run again, I would cry. I would 100% cry. I would have lost it. Man, it feels so good for this run to be over. Again, I grabbed that Aquamarine just because I thought that for whatever reason that's where the mana prism was. I'm really like struggling to keep a grip of my sanity near the end here. I cannot put into words how difficult it was to get to this point where I am basically at this room right here is the last room with an enemy that I have to worry about until the final boss. And I made extra sure that I took it slow and steady through that room. Here is just a little bit of wing smash movement. Nothing to be scared of. And now we have the final wait for the doors to open up to the final fight between myself and Shaft and then Dracula. There is so much tension that I'm feeling as these doors slowly click into place and then open. I am going to be using the mana prism here, so I have a full stick of mana to use versus Shaft and Dracula. And thankfully I did decide to do this instead of trying to wing it with like minimal MP, which is probably what you would end up doing in a normal glitchless speedrun. But again, I keep forgetting. I had the Holy Glasses equipped the whole time. I never equipped the Dragon Helm, which would have made these fights a lot faster, a lot safer, and a lot more consistent. So the end of this run, honestly, is where the majority of the mistakes are, and it all comes down to forgetting to equip the Dragon Helm. If I equipped the Dragon Helm, none of these mistakes would have happened. I was setting up these fights relatively okay. This is the right setup for the most part. That should have killed him if I had the Dragon Helm on. And again, I still don't even realize what I messed up. And then Dracula normally dies in 3 or 4 casts of the spell, depending on if you get a bunch of crits and depending on your strength value. There's a couple of different factors. I think it took me 6, so nearly double the amount of Shield Rod spells required to beat Dracula here. And again, there is still plenty of tension. Dracula is 100% consistent. There's no RNG or anything like that to this boss fight. But if I am misspaced even the slightest with the way that his hands move during these attack patterns, I could cause the wrong hand to fire and hit me, and I'm taking damage at the very, very last second. But this should be the last cast if I decided to put on the stupid dragon helm. But instead, I have to do 2 more, I believe. Yep. So that goes to show how much putting on the dragon helm is important. And we finish in about 34 minutes and 54 seconds, I believe, was the final time. Again, sub 35 is still a decent time. I don't even know what that is on the leaderboard for like the regular glitchless speedrun category, but it's a decent time, but it could have been lowered by at least a minute, maybe a minute and a half with just following the route better. Considering how much pressure I was under to perform and finish this run on that day, led to a lot of interesting mistakes. But man, I am so glad that this is over. And again, the first ever in the world, to my understanding. I could be wrong out there. If I'm wrong, please leave a comment and tell me that somebody else did this first. But I should be, and this is the exact definition, the first to complete the game without using any glitches, without taking any damage, and in a single segment. So I was not allowed to revisit any save rooms. Like if I took damage, I couldn't reload a save or anything like that. I had to do it without saving the game and then reloading saves. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the content, please leave a like on the video. It does help me out a lot, as well as possibly subscribing if you want to see more Symphony of the Night or other Metroidvania challenge runs, speed runs, all that fun stuff. I greatly appreciate you spending your time watching this, and yeah, have a wonderful day.